Hello and welcome to Living a Graceful Life. I'm your host, Denise Medved, and I'm also the creator and founder of the Ageless Grace Brain Health Program, which helps people have a sharper, quicker brain, helps restore cognitive function at any age in 50 states and 32 other countries. The purpose of this show is to remind all of you that it's never too late to begin to make choices to create the life that you want to live. And that's the perfect segue into our guest tonight and her topic, which is a program that has been in 3 parts. Tonight is the second part. The name of the series is Self-Care, Not Shelf-Care. And we talked about Talk the Talk in the last episode that we had together. And this episode, we're going to be talking about Walk the Walk with Lana Gelb. And I'll tell you just a little bit about Lana. I've known her for quite some time. Not only has she been an Ageless Grace educator, but she has also been, she's an exercise physiologist. She's a certified somatic movement therapist. She's the president and founder of Good Vibes Consulting. And she has 2 courses that she offers, the Brain Wake Up Method and Your Brain on Yoga. Each are 6 weeks long, and they help you change your brain and transform your life. And Lana and I have presented together on many occasions. We've done quite a few workshops, but we also presented at Harvard Medical School together. So it's an honor to have you back again for the second part of Shelf-Care or Self-Care. Thank you, Lana, for being here.
Well, thank you, Denise, for having me here. I'm really always excited to present with you and to be interviewed by you and to do anything with you for that matter. I think you and I are very much in sync, and we just enjoy working together. So that's such a pleasure for me and an honor for me too.
Well, I agree with everything you said. We do have a good time when we are presenting together, and we've done it a number of times, and it's always been fun. So when we're talking in this episode about Walk the Walk, the first thing I would love to ask you is, what does that expression mean, walk the walk, as opposed to what we talked about in the first episode, which was talk the talk?
So I'm glad you asked that, because I actually looked up the origin of it and found out that it was from a Shakespeare play, Richard III. And the origin is really, the whole phrase is talk the talk and walk the walk. So it comes from, it was first performed in 1594. If you can imagine that, and it was said by a character known as the First Murderer. And he uses this expression in the production and says, "We come to use our hands and not our tongues." Uh-oh, where's Denise? So I will go on talking about the expression, talk the talk and walk the walk. It means to back up your claims with proof of action, proof of validity. And it's about really being authentic and being practicing what you preach in a way. So many times I come across people who talk a lot about what they're going to do, about different things that they plan to do and different dreams that they have, but they don't actually come through with it. So over time, actually, the phrase changed from, in the UK particularly, they abbreviated it to walk the talk. So we need to walk the talk. And this came from the Times newspaper there, where it appears as follows: "Some of the less friendly observers have determined that we will abandon our principles and reveal ourselves as shallow, cynical exploiters. We must disappoint them. Quite simply put, we walk our talk." And what it is, I'm happy to see you back, Denise. What it is it's become part of our language, and I just love language, but it also has become part of our behavior, because our behavior is becoming embodied by something that we do through the body. And for me, walking is such a huge part of human experience. And it, pretty much everybody walks. And, unless you were born with some kind of issue, another expression is we crawl before we walk. And we walk before we run. So it's an embodiment in language of our behavior and what our behavior is about. And in fact, I found some wonderful expressions or idioms, if you will, with the word walk, which I just like to mention a few of them because they're all about behavior. And I thought that was very interesting. So don't judge someone until you've walked a mile in their shoes. That's a significant one. They all are actually. Walk on the wild side. All behaviors. Walk the straight and narrow. Walk into the lion's den. Mm-hmm. Walk down memory lane. So these are all physical, physical things that embody different aspects of emotional life and behavioral life. Walk on eggshells. I've done that. I'm sure you have. Yes. You have to learn to crawl before you walk and walk before you run, which I said. Someone can worship the ground that you walk on. You cannot make a crab walk straight. I've never heard that one before, which I thought was kind of interesting. And last but not least, walk someone off their feet.
I've never heard the one about the crab either, but that's interesting, the way crabs, go sideways and zigzag.
And I mean, I'm just assuming, I didn't look up the meaning, that, this is when people go off the straight and narrow path. And maybe that's their behavior a lot. Mm-hmm. So you can't teach that crab to walk a straight path. So I thought that was pretty fun and interesting.
Very interesting. And it's interesting that all of those, as you say, have something to do with the way we live our lives, so to speak, and our behavior, what we choose to do. And all of them are pretty good advice. I would say they're very good advice.
Exactly. I thought it was just very interesting that we have so many allusions to walking, and walking is so part of who we are in this world and what we do and where we go. And it also says a lot about us. Our walk, our stride, yes, our gait, our speed, all of these things. So what I thought might be nice to share is you and I talked the other day about what we've done since the beginning of this year to walk the walk ourselves and give an example of what we have done, and perhaps even do an example of something we want to still do, so that people can hear our authenticity and our transparency. And we hope that this will be either a trigger for them, or something that they admire, or something that they said, oh, wow, I didn't know that, So would you like to start with yours?
Sure, absolutely. One of the things that I started at the beginning of the year, and some of you who are watching this may have even attended this, I did a program with Sherry Keating about changing your life by changing your brain. And we did a program about the new MIND, MIND diet, which is sort of a combination between the DASH diet, which is primarily for diabetes, and the Mediterranean diet, which of course is touted all over the world as one of the best diets that you can eat. So they've combined it together to put in all kinds of things that really they know for sure stimulates the brain, helps the brain be stronger, sharper, quicker, etc. And there are a lot of things that do that, of course, especially whatever we feed our bodies and our brain. So starting in January 1st, so that I could walk the walk, as you said, not just talk about it and say, oh, this is a good it's not really a diet, so to speak, to lose weight, as it is a daily diet. It's a nutrition plan for living. However, it says that if you are really feeding your brain the things that it needs to not only survive, but to thrive, that it will start to regulate your weight if you need to gain weight or if you need to lose weight. So long story short, I said, okay, I can't do this workshop unless I know what this means to live on the Mind diet. So since January 1st, I've been living on the Mind diet. And in the process, I've also lost 28 pounds, and which was almost mind-boggling to me because I wasn't sure I needed to lose that much, but it's perfect. I feel great. I'm functioning well. My brain does seem sharper and clearer. And that is something that I set a goal for myself. And the purpose of setting that goal was to be able to walk the walk.
Excellent, and congratulations to you. Well, I had a similar goal also at the beginning of the year. And I didn't do a diet per se, but I have researched so many, including the Mind, including the Mediterranean and DASH, which I know about. And so I've incorporated a lot of different things there. And actually, I'm just really eating less, and I'm doing intermittent fasting. So those two things have been crucial to my losing 23 pounds since the beginning of the year. Now, I am not at goal weight yet. I've got another 7 to go, and these are the hardest ones to lose. I've kind of plateaued a little bit at the moment. I'm not up, but I'm staying. You know, your body has a set point where it loves to stay in a certain place. Mine is there, and it's very comfortable there, and I'm comfortable there. However, I just want to get that next 7 pounds off. So my goal is to do that by the end of the year. And the first week in January is my birthday. So I definitely want it by my birthday. And so that's, but I have another goal that I'll talk about later.
Right. Well, we support you in that goal. Congratulations on what you've done so far. And all of us are with you. And hearing what we've done, we hope that all of you may be in the middle or the process of a goal that you've set for yourself, or you may be reminded by listening to us that you want to set a goal of some kind. Now, both of ours happen to be food related, having to do with our nutrition, but Lana's going to also talk about other kinds of goals that we can set for ourselves, because the whole point is for us to be authentic and don't just preach about what we believe or what we think is a good thing to do, but to actually practice what we preach.
Yes, here, here.
Here, here.
So perhaps we should talk for a moment about SMART goal setting and what the formula is. This is a famous formula in business. It started in business, but it's for any goal setting that we want. It seems to me to be a very smart formula, and it's an anagram, SMART. And for those of you who are watching or are going to watch later the recordings, you might want to have a pen and paper and write down what the SMART formula looks like, so that you can, you know, if not today or the day that you watch, don't delay, but you may want to just really set your goal in a smart way. Would you like to go through? We can go through them together.
Yes, you go through. Tell them what they stand for.
So S is for specific. It needs to be a specific goal. It can't be like, I want to lose weight, because that's not specific enough. You want to lose a certain amount, you have a goal weight, and you want to have it measurable. Specific is the S in SMART, correct. And that's the second one, is measurable. It needs to be measured. So for example, I really didn't have an end date. I just had this year. As this year, I wanted to really make a concerted effort to lose this weight. And I achieved pretty much my goal. I'm not at my goal weight, but the measurement is I am planning for the next 7 pounds to disappear from hard work, because that's what it is, and it's planning, and by the end of the year. Then we have the third one is, I can't read my writing here. It's not assignment, but it's like achievement. So it's achieving. Is it achievable? Is it something you're going to actually be able to achieve, or is it unrealistic? You know, if you want to, you know, look like Sophia Loren by the end of the year, it's not going to happen. But you know, I mean, let's just be real. If you want to make $1 million in the next 3 months, that's not going to happen. But if you want to improve your sleep, you can measure it and say, I want to improve my sleep by this time, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be specific and say, I'm going to change my bedtime hour, or I'm going to develop a night routine, or I'm going to drink some chamomile tea, or whatever it is. And then I already said the R, it needs to be realistic. It needs to be something that's achievable and realistic. That's the R in SMART, the SMART goal setting. And then the final one is the time. You need to set a time. You really need to be specific about the time, specific about how you're going to measure it. How are you going to measure it? Some people go on a scale. Some people can tell by their clothes if their goal is to lose weight. Some, you know, if they want to sleep better, just measure how many hours they're sleeping as opposed to how much they were, or how many times they go to the bathroom compared to, you know, there are measurable ways to do this. So that, and then the time is very important, because you don't want to make the time unrealistic. You want it to be time that works for you, that is achievable.
Absolutely. And another thing we talked about when you and I were discussing the SMART formula, which again, I think is really smart also, that you also best achieve things in 2 ways. One is by doing it in bite-sized pieces, as opposed, and again, you said realistic, achievable. However, you know, if you're going to say, I'm going to lose 30 pounds in 2 months, I don't know, that's a big challenge. It's not impossible, but that's a stretch. But if you were to say, I'm going to lose 30 pounds in 6 months or 9 months, or by the end of the year, as you said, that way you can kind of surprise yourself, and you say, okay, I would like to lose this many pounds in the first month, this many pounds in the next month, like setting small goals for yourself to get to the big goal. I've noticed that about everything I do, whether it's a project I'm working on, whether it's a degree I'm working toward, whatever it is, doing it in bite-sized goals. There is a big goal at the end, but instead of just working toward that big goal, to say, okay, I'm going to try to reach this goal by this time, and then I'm going to try to reach this part of it by this time, so that I finally get to my big goal, by the end of by the end of the rainbow.
Yeah. So, I mean, small steps is key. And just being able to do small steps, it's like so related to changing habits. I mean, that's basically what it is that we're doing. We're doing and incorporating something new that we might have tried in the past and maybe didn't really do well at or achieve what we wanted to because we didn't set the goal correctly, or we didn't measure it, or we, you know, somehow it didn't work for us. So here, in terms of habit forming and habit setting, small steps, one step at a time, is really realistic and achievable, and it works. I mean, this is how it works. So I'm going to say that I'm going to set a goal for myself on this show right now. I have already started the process, and that is the clutter in my home and in my car. And because my car has always been my office until COVID, but I never cleaned it up until I've started to do small steps every day. I've been doing these small steps now for a couple months. And my goal is to completely have my bedroom and my closet uncluttered by the 31st of December. And I can be held accountable for that. I'm on the way, but it's not there. It's got a ways to go because I have all my work and everything from 4 different countries and many different things that I've done in my life that I'm not a hoarder. I wouldn't call myself a hoarder, but I do keep those. And I have used stuff from 20 years ago. So you know, it's hard for me to really do that, but I'm going to really do it. How about you?
Congratulations for setting your goal and doing it publicly, because that's the other thing that you and I talked about.
Accountability.
How the accountability means everything. To say it out loud, to write it down on a piece of paper, to have a friend or a buddy that you can say, you know, hold me accountable. I'm going to check in with you. May I please check in with you, you know, at the end of every month or every week or whatever, and say, this is what I've done so far. So we have another show, our 3rd episode, the 3rd part in self-care, not shelf care. And that's on November 21st. And so we're not holding you accountable as in pressure, but we would love to hear from you on November 21st about how you're doing on your progress with your decluttering goal.
Okay, I will be there. And, you know, I challenge everybody who's watching now and watching in the future, the recording, to set a goal for themselves between now and the end of the year, or between now and 6 months, or whatever it is. And, you know, hold yourself accountable to it and walk the walk, because otherwise it doesn't really happen. And then people get frustrated and, you know, the emotions go awry. And it's just not a comfortable feeling, because it becomes almost like a feeling of just not accomplishing.
Right. Absolutely. I agree. And it's so easy to talk with a friend or a group of girlfriends and say, oh, I'm really going to do this, or I really need to do this. I know in the past, I have talked about things I need to do, like, oh, I need to clean that up. Oh, I need to straighten that up. Oh, I need to start doing this. But that's my talk. I just talk about it with my girlfriends. So you've made a really good point that, you know, stop talking about it with your girlfriends or with your best friend, and do something about it.
And change the language to I am doing, rather than I need to do, or I will do. I am doing.
I am doing it. That's great. That's important. The words are powerful. and make a big difference. And when we say it out loud, especially, or when we write it down, we're making it manifest. And so you're right. If we say, I will do this, or I intend to do this, or I hope I can do this, then that's what we're making manifest. We're setting ourselves up for failure. I love that. I am doing it.
Yeah.
I am doing it. That's great. Um, so just to remind everybody that, as I mentioned, Lana will be back for part 3 of self-care, not shelf care, on November 21st, same time. It'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, which, by the way, that's 9 a.m. in the morning Australian time tomorrow. And so I hope you'll share this with your friends and let them know that they can watch this recording. It is recorded and they can watch it on winwinwomen.com at the same link that you push to come on this, or the same link where you saw it maybe on social media or in an email from one of us. You can press that link sometime tomorrow and you'll be able to watch the recording, or anytime after tomorrow. But then join us live on November 21st, because part of the fun of this is also just being here together and sharing and talking about what it is that we want to set as goals in our life. And it can be, they also don't have to be huge goals. They don't have to be big. They can be small goals. And it feels so great to tick those off your list, doesn't it, Lana?
Yes, and does. And it's a good feeling of growing, of growth, that you're not
Yes.
static and stuck.
Absolutely. When I practice and have for almost 30 years feng shui, which is the art of arranging space in your life. And some people call that decluttering. It's more than that, but in feng shui, it's about move 20 objects in your house and you'll change your life. Literally, like if you start setting the intention that, gee, I'm going to do this, I'm going to change that, and I'm going to put this picture over there, and I'm going to move this picture from downstairs to upstairs, all of a sudden your whole space feels different and it puts your mindset in a different place. So that's another thing you can do when you're setting goals for yourself, is like, create the space in your home for it. Put up notice, I think you have one behind you, Lana, a vision board.
Yeah, that's Tracy's vision board.
Tracy's vision board. What a wonderful,
in my studio. Yeah.
yeah, what a wonderful thing to do, to remind yourself, this is what I am doing, right? Well, I also want to tell all of you about a new project that Lana and I are doing together. We mentioned at the very beginning that we have done a lot of workshops together. We're going to do a 3-workshop series in the month of November. It's going to be on Wednesday, November 9th, Wednesday, November 16th, and Wednesday, November 23rd. All of them are from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern time, which would be noon Pacific time, for example. And it's about your brain on fitness, sort of a takeoff on what Lana has done before with your brain on yoga. And it's really a fascinating thing. The first workshop that we're going to do is your brain on physical fitness. So it's all about movement and what that does to your brain and what your brain does to the movement. The second one is called your brain on mental, emotional, cognitive fitness. And yes, there is fitness for your brain, absolutely. And the third one is your brain on spiritual fitness. What does that involving yourself in a spiritual practice of some kind do to your brain? So I am really excited about this workshop series. You can go to agelessgrace.com, AGELESSGRACE.com, and go to trainings and events. And then you'll see, scroll down to November, and you'll see that Lana and I have all 3 workshops there. And you can take one workshop. You can pay for each workshop individually. You can do 2 of the 3, 1 of the 3. But if you want to do all 3 of them, then you get a special big discount for doing that. It's $19.47 for one workshop, or for each workshop, and it's only $49.47 for all 3. They will be recorded, so if you can't make those Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern time, we will send you the recording. And I can promise you, Lana and I have done some wonderful, fun things together, and this is going to be wonderful and fun too. And we're offering a special gift, and it's going to be announced on the website. When you go there, you'll receive a special gift if you're one of the first 20 to register for all 3 of the workshops. So we're hoping that you'll join us then. We're making November a great month because it is the ending of this year. We're coming upon that, and it is also the beginning of a new year. So it's a time when people really like to get their mind, their body, their spirit, their emotions in a place of balance. So we hope you'll join us. Anything you'd like to say about that, Lana?
No, I'm just as excited as you are about it, because there is so much to talk about in terms of the brain on fitness. And, people don't really connect those 2 aspects, but they are very connected. And people need to understand that, what happens to your brain when you go for a walk, or what happens to your brain when you river raft, or whatever you're doing, stretching, doing, like you said, a spiritual exercise. There's so much that happens to the brain, and it's fascinating. So
it truly is.
Yeah.
So I just want to remind you all again, when you hear about what we're talking about tonight and what we're going to be talking about in the next month, that it's never too late to begin to make choices to create the life that you want to live. Thank you so much for joining us on Living a Graceful Life.
Thank you.